So you've seen how cancer stem cells give rise to certain types of cancers. Now let's look at some of the other genetic pathways that have been implicated in the roads to cancer development. The first one is, what is the link between the immune system and cancer? Now, if you look at biopsies of tumor samples and do some histological staining, you will find that a lot of these tumors show the presence of immune cells, typically lymphocytes. The amount can vary. Some tumors have a lot of lymphocytes, some of them have very little lymphocytes. But the point is that these tumors have been infiltrated by the immune system. What are they doing there? Are they trying to attack the cancer cells? Are they trying to eliminate them because they are expressing some foreign antigens? Or is there another reason why there are varying densities of immune cells in tumors? It turns out that paradoxically, the immune system initially tries to eliminate cancer cells and it succeeds. But as the tumor grows larger, these immune systems are actually recruited by the tumors to aid its own proliferation. So the immune cells secrete certain cytokines and other growth factors that actually increases cell proliferation in cancers. The next point is metabolism. Like any other tissue, tumors also need to fuel their own growth, and this fuel is in the form of glucose, in the form of oxygen. And typically, because of their rate of proliferation is so high, cancer cells will also require higher levels of glucose, which may not necessarily be provided by the tissues. And therefore, cancer cells genetically reprogram their own cellular metabolism to sustain this rapid proliferation. And the way they do this is they take up glucose and break it down, a process called glycolysis. And this is done even when oxygen levels are low, which is usually not the case, and therefore it's an abnormal glycolysis in aerobic conditions. And one of the ways in which cancer cells do so is by increasing the number of a transporter of glucose called GLUT1. And as a result of overexpression of these glucose transporters, more glucose is taken up by the cancer cells to aid its own proliferation. And this phenomenon was first observed by Otto Warburg, and this is called as the Warburg effect. The next road to cancer is endless replication. Now, this is the stereotype that we all are familiar with. Cancer cells divide endlessly. Although the term immortal is used in connection with cancer cells, it's not strictly true. Cancer cells also eventually will die after a very, very, very long time compared to normal cells. But the whole concept of cell division is linked to another part of the DNA. DNA contains sequences called telomeres. Telomeres are junk sequences or non-coding sequences, typically containing 6 base pair repeats. And these telomeres flank the ends of chromosomes. And every time a cell divides, these chromosomes get shorter and shorter and shorter because the telomeres get chopped off with every round of division. And the enzyme that adds telomeres is called telomerase. And telomerase is turned off postnatally in most somatic cells. However, in cancer cells, these telomerases are switched back on. Telomerase adds these telomeric sequences on the ends of linear DNA. However, postnatally, immediately after birth, most somatic cells in the human body switch off the telomerase, except in certain stem cells and in certain cases in cancer cells. A vast majority of cancer cells show the presence of an active telomerase. It suggests that one of the reasons why cancer cells can divide endlessly is because of the presence of an active telomerase. There are a few more pathways, such as genomic instability, that are also involved in cancer development. But for the purposes of this session today, let's highlight some of the key concepts. Cancer stem cells arise from the oncogenic transformation of adult stem cells during development. Cancer cells overwhelm the immune system and later recruit them to sustain their own proliferation. Cancer cells reprogram the genetic machinery to increase glucose take-up. Cancer cells reprogram their own genetic machinery to increase glucose uptake. And cancer cells also activate telomerases to sustain prolonged cell division.